So apologies there, everyone had to leave and rejoin the session, I say, due to that fantastic little no sound glitch that some of us have to experience at the beginning of every stream. But good evening, everyone, and welcome to One Hub Racing's Season 14 Prestige Tier here at the Monaco Grand Prix around the streets of Monte Carlo. Tonight it's time for possibly the biggest test these drivers will face, and that's Survive Monaco. This circuit is not for the faint-hearted or the scared. You need balls of steel to tackle this circuit, with Armco barriers eagerly waiting to accept any driver who dares to make a mistake. Qualifying positions are crucial, as overtaking is limited to maybe just 2 or 3 places, and the drivers have a love-hate relationship with this track, and it's certainly one that separates the men from the boys. So the Monaco Grand Prix then, nestled next to the French Riviera, the cars climb and drop down hills as well as steer their way around the harbour front. A 2-mile long circuit contains a total of 19 corners with 1 DRS zone along the main straight. It's a short burst from the start line to Saint-Avold, and this will be the best place to try a possible overtake. Intervalo's hairpin and the harbour chicane provide other possible opportunities, but you have to time it right and have full faith in the car ahead of you. So good evening, everyone then. My name is Alex Lilliard. Unfortunately, I wasn't here last week. I was suffering from a migraine. I did let the league go quite late, so apologies for that. But I'm okay. I'm here tonight. We've got 14 drivers, although I believe Matt Boss has disconnected. Hopefully he can rejoin, as Louis sets the first competitive-ish time with a 109.042 in that McLaren. And last week's race winner will be looking to stamp his authority on the championship with another race win here tonight. We've got a few new drivers in there. LTU Tom down in 7th place is now in the Haas. We've got Super Guy NL in the Ferrari, and I think there is someone else out there. Yes, LR Yogurt, sorry, who's in the pits now, or to come back out of the pits actually, for the Mercedes team. But we have 14 drivers. Hopefully there'll be a few more that will creep in as the qualifying session goes on. Super Guy now up onto provisional pole with a 108.633. So as it's nice and early, excuse me, in the qualifying session, we'll just gloss over both the drivers and the Constructors' Championship. Round 6 then of 21, so we're starting to get towards the middle part of this season. And Louis then, after winning last week, has a nice 83-point haul in the Championship, 20 points ahead of VSR Marquez's in the Red Bull and 63. Then it's Paris in the Williams in 3rd place on 48, tied for 3rd place with the 2nd Red Bull of Blizzard, and in 5th place it's VSR Onyx on 35. In the Constructors, Aston Martin lead away on 111. Williams in 2nd place on 83. They're tied for 2nd place with McLaren, and in 4th place Mercedes on 68. Ferrari in 5th place on 62. Keep an eye on both the Toro Rossos and the Haas teams tonight, if there are drivers here representing them. Both of those teams only have 1 single point this season, and this would be a good opportunity with probably a slightly lower turnout and probably a few retirements in this race as well. Hopefully they can score some points. The Super Guy back into the pits. Matt FNG has retired. I assume he's crashed. His yellow flags all around the circuit anyway. So we've got both the Williams drivers almost line astern. We've got Onyx just coming across the line now. Paris just a few seconds back. Super Guy still on provisional pole, just waiting for his teammate to be pushed back into garage so he can take up his garage spot. Louis in second. Brett Stutt up into third place, still sitting on the -4 points. He's damaged that front wing there. If we get a look at it, you can see the front right is heavily damaged, so he might complete this lap just to get a lap time on the board. Indeed, he's going to, so this won't be a competitive lap. And he's stopped. He's reversing on track. He's going backwards into the pit lane, which is probably not the smartest thing to do, because if someone was all guns and glory coming around that final couple of corners in a flying lap and saw the hard car just parked in the middle of a track, there would have been some questionable words after that qualifying session. But he's back in the pits then. He has completed a lap with 109.6. And he's going to fix that front wing and go back out for another attempt. Samster up into P5. Marquez is in P6 with 110.1. He's back into the pits as well. So we've got Lewis then just running up the hill in Sector 1. He is on the flying lap. We'll jump on board of the Toro Rosso event. Now up through Casino Square and up the hill and then back down the other side and all the way to Massenet 1, which is a very nice off-camber little right-hander here as well. You can easy to drag the car right down to the Grand Hotel hairpin, the Lowe's hairpin, whatever you want to call it, through Massenet 2 again. And now into Portier as well, underneath the bridge. Little right-hander as well. Get a nice line through here and then flat out all the way through the tunnel. Drivers will reach a high speed through here, close to 180 mile an hour. Just kisses the wall on the left hand side. Hopefully he hasn't picked up any damage. Now braking hard and heavy for the Nouvelle chicane. Bit of debris on the inside, so someone's clipped the wall. And now up the short burst then up to back. A very fast, frightening left hander here, clipping the wall again on the outside. Now through the piscine section, if you like, the swimming pool, and he's invalidated his lap and absolutely creamed through that. So he's definitely back into the pits then. Indeed he is, lighting up the tyres and back in. A very scrappy lap there from the Toro Rosso driver. He'll be wanting to get all that sorted out before the end of this session. Blizzard there just running off the circuit. He's obviously got a car, I think, coming down behind him, a Williams, maybe both of the Williams at least. And Blizzard will carry on then. So Paris sets his first competitive lap. 108.996, good enough for the front row of the grid, but not good enough to get ahead of Super Guy NL, currently on provisional pole for Ferrari. His teammate Onyx is coming round. Obviously, I think he might have invalidated the first lap, but he's going to be completing this one at least. So it'll be 2 laps completed in this set of soft tyres. Oh, getting very sideways as he struggles for traction coming out of the final corner, but his lap is good enough for P3. So the Williams guys, P2 and P3 at the moment, only separated by, what's that, nearly 300ths of a second. LR Yogurt has come out the pits just ahead, but Onyx won't mind too much. He's on an in lap, and he should probably back off a little bit. No, in fact, Yogurt has decided to move out of the way. So SP into 6th place then. Samster and Marquez is pushed down to 8th and 9th. Midnight, Lewis, Blizzard and LTU Tom in the pits. So we'll have a watch at Yogurt then, see how he tackles the infamous streets of Monte Carlo, just to see if he manages to keep it clean out of the war. A few drivers already being in the wars in the qualifying session. We saw Brett Stowe with half the front wing making a very slapstick attempt to get into the pits a few minutes ago. And then someone there absolutely straight line in the chicane in a desperate bid to get back to the pits quickly. So 14 drivers here in the session, only 13 remain. Matt has retired, I assume he's crashed somewhere. So we might have a couple more. I did see Lakito join and leave the session a couple of times, so hopefully he can get back in. It'd be nice to try and have as many drivers starting this race, because this is a circuit that no matter how many drivers you have starting this race, it could be 5, it could be 55, there won't be those people finishing the race. There'll always be a couple of lap 1 casualties, and then people lose concentration. It's 38, 39 laps I think it is around here tonight, and the concentration levels from these guys is going to be pretty high all the way throughout. One little mistake and your race could be over, so these guys have to get focused nice and early and stay focused. So Matt Tibos has left the session, so he's another one then that keeps joining and leaving. He, for whatever reason, can't seem to get a good connection. No, he can't get in this car. So Lakitu and Matt Tibos are trying their best to get into the session, which means if they do, we'll be up to 16, which is a decent amount for around Monaco. So yellow flag in sector 2, probably someone going quite slowly. We'll jump back on board with the Mercedes, and it's not been too bad of a lap so far. On the Mercedes driver, just looking up a little bit, going into the Nouvelle chicane, and now to back again. Matt Tibos rejoins, hopefully this time he can stay. Now through the piscine section, the swimming pool section, left, right, left, bouncing over the curves into La Rascasse with the bar on the inside of the Armco on the right hand side. He's made a mistake, he's clipped the wall, he's not happy with his lap time, And Yogurt then has abandoned that lap again and back into the pits. So Mark SP then, he's out there at the moment on the medium tyres. Strategy here, soft, medium, medium or soft, should be the way for these drivers. But of course they do have a set of hard tyres if they want to go super long into this race. Don't be surprised to see some drivers do that if they have to pit very early on to fix accident damage coming off whatever tyres they started going onto the hards, and then trying to get them to the end if they can. Of course, virtual safety cards and safety cards, we know they're not that common on multiplayer on this game, but they are certainly common around Monaco, so don't be surprised to see 1 or 2 out there tonight if there's a couple of nasty little crashes out there, which of course will throw strategy all around a little bit. And Super Guy now improves to a 108.633. Paris, Onyx and Louis still in second, third and fourth, and those three are separated by just half a tenth of a second. It's very competitive at the front of the field. No other lap times are coming in just yet, and we're already well over halfway through this qualifying session. Good evening as well to everyone that is filtering in and out of the stream. I believe the Pinnacle Tier might still be going on. It might have finished by now. I'm not too sure. I'm sure as soon as it does, most of those guys watching that will filter over to this as well for the start of this race. So then, Loggett back in the pits, as is Tom. Blizzard is now on a flying lap. He is on a flying lap, but it's well off the pace. So this is going to be an exploratory lap then from Blizzard, unless the sector 3 time at the top there is lying to me. It wasn't. A 1:13.434. So it's a banker lap at least from Blizzard, which means he won't be starting last at least, because obviously Matt FNG has retired from the session. But you can see there he's already turned the EOS all the way up to the max. So now the Red Bull is going to light the wick on the candle and go for a fast one here. His teammate not faring too well at the moment. 2 laps completed in the set of soft tyres. He's only in P8 at the moment. Mark SP and the Ferrari in between them. As Blizzard negotiates the Grand Hotel or a Lowe's hairpin. And through Portier into the tunnel again. Nice rearward shot here. We'll jump on board now to see what's going on in the better direction going forward. Braking heavy then for the Nouvelle chicane, just clipping the inside curve there. It's very easy to invalidate around here at 3 main points, and that's Santa Volta turn 1, the little entry point there to the Nouvelle chicane, and also through this section as well. Very easy to invalidate with the strict corner cutting rules, as Blizzard lights up the rear tyres as he struggles for traction and stamps on the brake going into Lavascas, locking up the right front. Oh, and he just clips the inside of Anthony No to put it in the wall, and that's ruined what was looking like a competitive lap. And I don't think he's got any. Yeah, he's got a bit of damage on that front wing. Yes, of course he has. Certainly around Monaco. So a mistake there at the final corner. Corner Anthony Noakes means that Blizzard's 1:13.4 is the best that he can manage so far. He's got time to get back, fix that front wing, go for another set of tyres and come back out on circuit. Lewis, LTU, Tom and LR Yogurt, our last 3 drivers to set any sort of a lap time, are all back out on circuit. Onyx then has taken provisional pole, a 1:08.276. So we've got a Williams driver in P1 and a Williams in P3, and they're looking very good to pick up some more points tonight, as long as both of them can keep it clean, of course. So Louis in 4th, he's back out on circuit. We'll have a look then, fitted and best. So everyone that's set a lap time, I should say, have done it on the soft tyres. But we've now got Brettster and Mark Espy out there on the medium tyres, so maybe they want to... it's a good opportunity to try and get inside the top 10 on the medium. Certainly with only 13 drivers out there that's going to be setting lap times. So Louis then, he's on the soft tyres as he turns everything up to the max and now goes for another flying lap. Midnight has recently posted his first lap time of 1:09.378 up into P5, and this is a great opportunity for the likes of Brettster to finally get outside of the negative points. If you don't remember, all the way back in the pre-season race at Spa, Brettster was caught on stream doing donuts at the final chicane with a couple of laps to go, and the league said, well, it's not really something you should be doing. It prevented other drivers from overtaking at that point. It was a sanctioned pre-season race that was streamed. Naughty behaviour. Starts the season on the -5 points. As it stands, coming into round 6, Brettster is sitting on -4 points. So even if he didn't have a penalty, he'd be towards the bottom of the pile on just 1 point, as he gets very sideways going into the pits. And again, not happy with his lap time on the mediums. Back into the pits he comes. So Lewis back in the pits. Tom, though, he's completing this will be Tom's first lap then, finally completed around Monaco. Let's see what it's going to be. It's certainly not going to be pole position, comes across the line, but it's good enough for P7, less than a tenth of a second ahead of his own teammate. So the hard cars occupying row 4 at the moment. Just leaves Lewis, who's in the pits, or just come back out the pits then, the only driver to not set a lap time and him and Blizzard are the only drivers not to set a competitive lap time. Eli Yogurt has improved his lap time as well. It's the Mercedes driver now up into P3. Paris is out on circuit. He's now on a fast one, currently being pushed down into P4. So he wants to find, a couple of attempts will get him up onto the front row of the grid. Louis and Midnight still in the pits as well. Samster and Marquez is back out on circuit. Mark SP is currently trampling around on those medium tyres. So have a look at a few of the other drivers and see what's going on. Where's Mark SP and all this? He's up behind his teammate. You won't want this being on the fast lap. Marquez has only just started his flying lap. LTU Tom, we know, has just completed his. So we've got Onyx and Super Guy back out on circuit again on out laps. And Paris then coming down to the Nouvelle chicane. Ooh, might have just invalidated there, to be honest. It looked like he did have all four wheels off the circuit at one point. Very easy to invalidate here. The margins are fine around this circuit, and indeed, you can see there that Paris has backed off the throttle. He has turned the ERS down to try and save a bit. So he obviously did invalidate on this lap. Turning everything back up again. Yogurt feels that he cannot improve from P3 and retires from the session. And here we go then. This is Paris's possibly final attempt, as he throws that car into Sandoval and now races up the hill. So we'll come back to him and see what's going on with him. Samster is halfway round his first lap. He's nearly 2 tenths up in his previous best, which would be actually good enough to get himself up into P7. Marquez's Norbis is about a 10.5 through Sector 2. Coming through, Anthony Nogues over the line, opening up the DRS. He's out of ERS as well. Marquez's does improve to a 109.4. That will be his session over. He won't have enough ERS left to really be able to improve that lap time. So Marquez, then in the hunt for the championship, can do no better than P7 here. Mark SP retires from the session. Samster has backed off as well. He's got time to go again and enough ERS to do so. Blizzard just coming across the line to start his final lap. Lewis, where is he in all this? He needs to set a lap time. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. He won't have enough time or ERS to go again. So this is crucial for Lewis. If he wants a competitive grid spot, this needs to be the lap to do it. What's he going to do as he comes across the line? It's only good enough for P6 then. So Lewis's session is over. Midnight is slightly down in Sector 1. We'll come back to Paris though, because he's close to finishing. He's off his lap time. He's not going to be improving, I don't think. It's a 108.840. He did improve, I think, just a little bit, but obviously invalidated. And that will be Paris' session all over and done with. So his teammate coming on provisional pole. Paris can do no better than P4. So where's Blue? Oh, we've got Samster. He's pulled off the circuit. He's obviously made a mistake. So Samster has abandoned his final one. Brettster out there at the moment. LTU Tom is trying his best to get round, but you've got 14 seconds left of the session. LTU Tom is not going to be able to start his final lap. Marquez, as we know, is finished. Not too sure why he's carrying on. Onyx retires from the session. He feels that P1 is safe. Super Guy NL then. So what's he doing in Sector 1? I've missed the sector time. He's clipped the wall and the Lowe's hairpin as well. That's a scrappy couple of corners. And I don't think we're going to be seeing many improvements now that Midnight has moved up to P4. Where's Louis in all this then? So Louis is in the... where is he? He's in the tunnel. We've got Marquez's. We know he's backed off. Brettster is coming through the final corner. So can Brettster improve? Currently sitting in P10. He's not going to. You can see his lap time is down. Blizzard retires. So it's really only left up to Louis then to see if he can improve, because everyone else has either finished or backed off. So Louis then down in P6 at the moment, a position he really wouldn't want to start in. He's still going for it here, so I don't think he's invalidated anywhere. Through Anthony Noakes for the final time. So 109.042 was his previous best. I think he will just about improve it. He does. A 108.550 puts him all the way up onto the front row of the grid in P2. But it's Onyx in the Williams end that's taken pole position here. Louis in second. Super Guy in third. And LR Yogurt, very impressive, in P4. There we go, just to confirm, VSR Onyx on pole position with a 108.276, 2.5 tenths ahead of ILRT Louis in the McLaren. And then row 2, Super Guy and LR Yogurt for Ferrari and Mercedes. Then completing the top 10, it's VRT Midnight, Paris, Lewis, Marquez's, LTU Tom and Brettster, both the Haas cars, P9 and P10. Outside of it, Samstat in 11th, Mark SP in 12th, Blizzard with a disappointing 13th, Matt FNG who retired early in the session in 14th. Hopefully we have a couple more runners joining us during the qualifying session. But as it stands, we've got just 14 drivers starting. I'm going to take a short break here. I'll be back with you guys during the formation lap. So here we go then. VSR Onyx in the Rocket Williams racing car leads the field around on the formation lap. 39 laps here at Monaco. The weather looks nice and clear as it was in qualifying as well. So we'll bring up then the details of the tyres at least. So then obviously as per real F1 rules, if you qualify inside the top 10, the tyres you use to set your fastest lap are the tyres you are designated to start the race on. Of course everyone was on the soft tyres, so no surprises there. Outside of it then, we've got Matt FNG in 14th. He's also elected to start on the soft tyres. Everyone else 11th down to 16th, all going on to the mediums. The tyre strategy here, if you do manage to keep it clean and there's no safety cars sort of mid-race to change possible strategies, there will be softs onto mediums, mediums onto softs will be my bet. We also have been joined by Matt Tibos and Lakitu in the Mercedes and the Ferraris, Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo. So they have managed to finally join the session after the struggles early on, and they take up their positions on row 8 at the back of the field. So we do have 16 runners then, which is a nice healthy amount. We certainly won't have 16 at the end of this race. I'd like more than 10 finishers, but don't be surprised if there's about 8 or 9 trundling around at the end. Not too sure how the other tiers went as well. I can imagine it was a bit crash-tastic in there as well. Such is the way of the Monaco Grand Prix. As Lakitu then in the Alfa Romeo, car number 14. That's my number. Why has he only got my number for? But he's coming around now to take up his final grid spot. Onyx and Louis then going into battle into turn 1. It's a short blast to the first corner as well, so the start will be incredibly crucial for these guys. And hopefully the camera will change, because it's not exactly the most it's not exactly the best camera angle I want. You might have to jump on board with P3 man here just to see what's going on at the front of the field as we await to see the 5 lights come on for round 6 here at Monaco. This will be a sweat fest for these drivers. We've got 5 lights now, and out go the lights and away the drivers go now. It's a good start by the top 2 as well, but I think Louis might try it round the outside going into turn 1. Onyx will have to squeeze him here a little bit as they now race up the hill for the first time. There's contact further back, as you can imagine, in the midfield, but Onyx holds on to P1, Louis P2, Super Guy and Yogurt in P3 and P4 as they all filter their way around Casino Square. Now down the hill to Massenet for the first of 39 times here, keeping away from that nasty bump on the left hand side, and now down into the Lowe's hairpin. The field will bunch up again through here, and it's a great opportunity to just cycle through the order, keep one camera angle here, see if there's any moves, if anyone's playing it nice as they go through here as well. They are indeed. Doesn't look like anyone's picked up any significant damage. Now into the tunnel for the first time, but Onyx still holding on to that lead. I don't think there's been many position changes. I don't know why it's saying up and down for some of these guys, but Onyx still holding on to P1 as they come into the Nouvelle chicane for the first time. Looking in the background as well, again can't see any moves. Everyone's playing follow the the leader. Everyone's playing very nice in this opening lap here. It's a long event here. You don't want to be throwing caution to the wind on lap 1 and ruining your and other people's races as well. But into the Larascas hairpin for the first time there, then into Anthony Nogues. Onyx has done the hard part right so far then by holding on to this lead, and he's going to be taking a few of his drivers around with him for the first few laps here, as now the position orders do finally settle themselves out. We do have drivers coming into the pits though, so obviously there was a bit of contact out there for some of these drivers. We've got Lewis, LTU, Tom and Nikitu all coming into the pits at the end of lap 1. We'll jump aboard for McLaren driver to see if he can put some early pressure here on Onyx in the Williams as they come down to Massenet again. At the moment everyone's sort of holding on, as you can see, all keeping a line astern. A few little gaps starting to form further back. The top 7 fairly close together. Samson's trying to close up a little bit, but he's on the medium tyres as well. So Samson's made a good start and already inside the top 10 after starting outside on those medium tyres. Brett's doing 9th. Blizzard also up inside the top 10 as well. We've got Mark SP a little way back. Has he got a bit of damage on that front wing? He hasn't. He's just dropped back a little bit. Matt F&G in 12th and Matt in 13th. And like I said in qualifying, some of these drivers that are going to be pitting at the end of lap 1 to fix accident damage, going onto the hard tyres. It's exactly what Lewis, Tom and Lakitu have done. So bring up the position changes then. As you can see, the top 4 all holding on to the positions they started the race in. Paris has gained a position. Samster and Blizzard have both gained 3. Matt F&G and Matt Tibos from towards the back of the field have gained 2. Biggest losers, of course, Lewis and Tom having to make pit stops at the end of lap 1 as Louis sets a new fastest lap of this race. That will probably drop continually as it goes on. LTU Tom has already picked up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits one too many times. That's early. It's only lap 2 to start picking up penalties, so he'll have to watch himself a little bit so he doesn't end up with about 20 odd seconds. And we've got Matt Tibos and Matt F&G exchanging positions. That might have been on the exit of turn 1, possibly running up the hill. Oh, Matt Tibos there going very slowly. He has damage on that front wing as well. If we can get a better shot, looks like front left, possibly missing an M plate there. So it's not going to be good news to Matt if he's stuck behind a car with quite a bit of front wing damage. Nice little overhead shot here. I wouldn't call it a helicopter shot, being that low near the buildings. And yeah, Matt does have damage on that car then, so that's not going to go well for him. So Onyx then has got some pace early on as Blizzard and Brett start exchanging positions at the Nouvelle Chicane, and Blizzard does take that P9 from Brett though. Don't be surprised if the Haas driver has damage on the front of his car as well. It seems fairly clean and together at the moment. But the lower half of the top 10 very close together. Marquez, I believe, possibly has damage. He's the best part of 2.5 seconds already off the back of Midnight. A nice rearward shot there, just watching the chasing pack. He doesn't have damage. I think Marquez is just a bit off the pace, and this is a visual glitch there that I'm seeing. But Onyx then 1.7 seconds ahead of Louis. And Super Guy is sticking with him. They're dropping Yogurt and Paris as well, so the gap's already starting to form. But there's a bit of a train here forming behind Marquez's. And can Samsa do anything into the Lowe's hairpin? These guys, if they do notice that cars ahead have damage, look how close Blizzard there is to the back of Samsa. It's almost pushing him around these corners through Piscine and Massenet again into the tunnel. So is Samster close enough to try? So we'll jump on board with Blizzard, because I think Blizzard's going to eye up Samster for a possible overtake here. He does indeed. Danny inside into the Nouvelle Chicane. Both drivers give him plenty of space. I think Samster had to cut it just a little bit there. Also a little bit of contact as well between them on the exit. And Samster manages to hold on to that P8. It's so difficult to try and execute an overtake around Monaco. You need full faith in the car you're trying to overtake, as well as your own ability to make a move stick. Because if you snatch a brake, run wide or clip the barrier, you can end up ruining 2 drivers' races in one go. And Blizzard looking very racy. He's already got past Bretster. Not a good exit through Anthony Nogzo, and Samster might try to line up Marquez's for a bit of a cheeky dive bomb into turn 1. No, thinks better of it. Takes plenty of curve on the inside. Now the race up the hill then. Lap 5 of 39. The laps will tumble quickly here. Matt FNG in the pits as well to fix accident damage by the looks of it then. So another driver early in then, and Marquez is really struggling around this circuit. He's now over 3 seconds behind Midnight's P6 Racing Point, and Marquez locking up a little bit going into Massenet 1 and now down into the hairpin as well. I'm certain, I can't see it, but I'm certain that Marquez does have damage on that front wing. He must do. That front right, it isn't looking all that. I'm sure he's got damage because he's got 5 cars up behind him. Paris and Yogurt exchanging positions, I think, on the exit of the tunnel. Actually, that move was executed before the Nouvelle chicane there. So Paris up to P4. What's going on back here? Samster and Blizzard battling yet again, and Samster continuing having to take avoiding action, has picked up a penalty, and in the background I just saw there Matt Tebos has clipped the wall, I think, on the inside of Anthony Noakes. I did see the Mercedes with a missing wheel sort of in the runoff area, so Matt has crashed then at not Anthony, at the Nouvelle chicane. Oh, and talking of Anthony Noakes, Mark SP has clipped the wall quite heavily at Anthony Noakes, and I'm pretty sure he's now got damage on the front of his car. Yogurt's in the pits early, and there is damage on the front of that Ferrari, so his drivers now starting, the mistakes are now starting to creep in, and Marquez is now up into P6. So that released a few other drivers. We've got, and Samster getting very twitchy on the exit of Casino Square as well. He's clipped the wall now, so these drivers are really starting to struggle early on here. Don't be surprised if there's damage on that Renault. LTU Tom leaves the session. I'm not too sure if he's had another crash somewhere. So Tom has left the session. Hopefully he can rejoin. So we'll move away from the cluster mess that's going on in the middle. We've got Blizzard and Marquez's exchanging positions. I think Marquez is definitely off the pace here. And Blizzard then seems pretty cool, calm and collected at the moment. He's got a bit of pace underneath that Red Bull because he's moving up the order nicely. As he just clips the outside wall of Tabac. So he might have picked up a little bit of damage there, not too sure. We've got Louis coming into the pit, Super Guy as well. If these guys going for front wing changes, not too sure. It's a Williams 1-2 at the moment. Is Louis having a front wing change? He is. Is Super Guy having a front wing change? He is as well. And we've got Samster and Mark SP, and this is going to be a battle of the pit stops. Possibly you could have a good result here if you just don't pit as many times as everyone else, because we're seeing early mistakes here from some of these drivers, a lot of these drivers, to be honest with you. So Onyx and Paris now hold down P1 and P2. We got a yellow flag somewhere, it was, I think, over the main straight. Not too sure who that's for. So Midnight up into P3. Let's just take stock of what's going on at the moment. Lewis has retired. He's crashed somewhere in sector 2. So Onyx leads, has done from the start. Paris is now into second place. There is a car on the right hand side. That's Lewis. He's obviously clipped the wall on the exit of a Nouvelle chicane, and it spat it out to the other side. So Lewis's race has also ended at the same point that Matt Tebos's did a couple of laps ago. So Onyx leads 6.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Paris in P2. Midnight now up into P3, being hunted down by the very fast Blizzard in P4. Marquez a long way back in P5. He's 10 seconds back now, and he hasn't, I don't think, made a pit stop yet. We'll have a quick look. No, he hasn't. So Marquez is really struggling. I think he's got a heavily damaged front wing at this point because he's so off the pace. He's got Brettstar of all people behind him. So Brettstar now up into 6th place. We've got Yogurt, who's made a pit stop into P7. Louis has also made a stop into 8. Super Guy and Lakitu 9th and 10th. Everyone from 7th downwards has already made a first pit stop to essentially fix accident damage. So 2/3 of the field have already made enough mistakes here to warrant an early pit stop. And this will be a battle of everything, really, won't it? Really, battle of concentration, battle of skill, battle of being a survivalist here. We've lost 2 drivers already, down to 14. Expect more to go as well. Expect more pit stops as well. Has anyone made 2 pit stops yet? They haven't, but you can see there, 7th down, already being in at least once. Lewis, in fact, did make 2 pit stops before he crashed out. So in the first 7 laps, he'd been in the pits twice and then retired. So we'll jump on board with Brettstar because he's desperate to get past this Red Bull of Marquez's, who's clearly struggling. And try and move up the inside if he can. Leave the braking nice and late for the Nouvelle chicane. Marquez has had to take avoiding action. Brettstar might get a good exit here. Contact spinning, and he's collected by LR Yogurt as well, who had absolutely nowhere to go. Poor old Yogurt there. He might have damage on the front wing, and Brettstar's got to do a 72-point turn here. It'd be easy to just gun the throttle and spin the car around, my friend, rather than do all that. And the Alfa Romeo of Lakitu just managing to get past there, as does Samster as well. So Brettstar managing to execute a 74-point turn. He's got no front wing. He'll be back into the pits, and he might very well drop outside the points as well of Matt F&G and Mark SP. And in fact, Brettstar creams it into the wall in the exit of Tabac. Unhappy with what happened, and he is now another retirement. So we've got LR Yogurt back in the pits then. Accident damage, I assume indeed it is pit stop number 2 for that Mercedes driver. That promotes Samster back inside the top 10. Matt F&G and Mark SP as well into 11th and 10th and 11th. We've got LTU Tom in the pits, but we know he's left the session, so essentially we're down to just 12 runners then. Yellow flags in Sector 2 and Sector 3. As Lewis leaves the session after retiring a few laps ago as well. Onyx and Paris still carrying on though, and Onyx certainly extending that gap over his teammate, and Paris is slowly being caught by Midnight and Blizzard. Look at the pace that Blizzard has. He's really churning out those quick lap times. A few laps ago he was a couple of seconds behind Midnight, and now he's up with Midnight and ducks into the pits as well as Paris do then, which is slightly early to come off those soft tyres. That's freed up Blizzard on those medium runners. Now we'll see if he can start catching up to Onyx in front. Matt Tivos leaves the session. LTU Tom rejoins. So is Paris having a front wing change? He is. Midnight didn't. So Midnight's going to get the jump on Paris here then. So the Racing Point driver keeping it nice and clean so far. He'll be happy to see that he's managed to get past Paris. There's a couple of cars, or a few cars there, fly past on the exit of the pit lane. So Blizzard up into P2. Marquez is in all of this, somehow is still in P3 as Louis and Super Guy battle it out for P4 and P5. So Marquez, who's really off the pace here, will bring up the fastest laps. You can see that the best lap that Marquez has done is the best part of a second and a half off the pace, and that was in the early laps. Louis with a nice move up the inside coming into Massenet 1. His LTU Tom rejoins and then leaves the session. Retires and then leaves the session. So we've got yellow flag in Sector 2 and Sector 3. Did Tom retire on track? I'm not too sure. We're in the yellow flag zone now. Now it's green flags again, so not too sure. So then Onyx therefore leads. Blizzard in P2. Louis now up into P3, but he's a long way back. But he's already made a pit stop onto the hard tyres. Super Guy 4th, Midnight in 5th. Marquez is dropping back all the time. Onyx now into the pits. We'll have a check. Is he having a front wing change? I don't think he was. He's being held in the pits for a long time, so I'm not too sure if he did or not. But Blizzard then now takes the lead of this race. This will be the all-important point of this race for the Red Bull driver, because if he can churn out some very quick laps here, he may be able to hold on to that lead of the race once he makes a pit stop. Onyx though keeps P2 ahead of Louis, Super Guy and Midnight. So P2, 3, 4 and 5 very close together. Marquez has now made his first pit stop and has gone onto the soft tyres. Paris as well was in a few laps ago and had a front wing change, which is why he's further down the order in P7. And then the guys that made pit stops earlier on, Lakitu in 8, Samster in P9. Brettster has left the session after his retirement, so the Renault's 9th and 10th, Yoghurt in 11th, Mark SP a long way back in 12th, almost a lap down here. So again, we'll have a look at the pit stops. We've got drivers that have made pit stops for the second time. In fact, Marquez is showing he hasn't made a pit stop yet. I thought he might have done, but obviously he hasn't. So he's still in 6th, and he's yet to make his first pit stop here. Both the Red Bulls are the only drivers yet to make their first stop. Has Odems binned it yet? Asks Zach Jarvis. No, he hasn't, but he's lapping the best part of 2 to 3 seconds off the pace. He's down in P6, and apart from his teammate, he's the only one that's yet to make a pit stop. And you can see there Paris now behind him, and indeed Marquez now comes into the pits as VSR Onyx in P2 picks up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits at turn 1. And Marquez is not having a front wing change, so a driver that's the best part of 2 to 3 seconds a lap slower than everyone else hasn't had a front wing change. So if he hasn't got damage on that front wing, question marks have to be asked about his overall performance tonight, because it certainly is off the pace to where he usually is. Oh, loved up there from Yoga onto the back of it. Matt FNG just unsettles the Renault there, as both of these drivers, I think they might have got, no, they haven't got the jump on Marquez's. So Marquez is back out in 9th. We'll keep an eye on him to see if he can, maybe now find some pace on these medium tyres. That's Samster up into P8, Lakitu 7th, Paris up into 6th, but he's almost 6 seconds behind Midnight, who's stuck behind Super Guy and Louis, who might be struggling on a pad. The whole pad v wheel debate obviously always comes in at some of these circuits, and Monaco is one of those circuits where it does favour the wheel users. But we know that Louis is a bit of an alien at this game on a pad as it is, so no surprise to see him up in the podium positions. But he's got Super Guy and Midnight really hustling and bustling their cars behind the McLaren. We'll jump on board with the Ferrari driver then, coming into lap 14 of 39, not even a half distance yet. We've lost 4 drivers. As LR Yogurt picks up a time penalty, nothing into turn 1, so Louis will hold on to that P3, running the hard tyres, which might explain why he's a little off the pace. Everyone around him on the mediums. Onyx then 10.8 seconds, 10.7 seconds now behind our race leader Blizzard, who's risen very nicely through the field with a couple of dicey and daring overtakes And all Blizzard's got to do now is just keep pounding around, setting as quick lap times as he can on these medium tyres. And the longer he goes and the cleaner he keeps it, the better he's going to be. And once he makes a pit stop, might be looking to go as long as possible to go onto the soft tyres towards the end of this race as well. But Blizzard is in a good position to pick up a good result. Maybe not the race win as it stands. Onyx is closing up now. It's less than 10 seconds, so it's almost a second on this lap. But he's got a good opportunity to maybe sneak a possible top 4 or top 5 here, depending on what happens to these guys further back. Onyx safe in P2 at the moment. Louis holding on to P3 ahead of the Ferrari and the Racing Point of Super Guy, and Midnight in 4th and 5th. And as I get back to Paris, of course, he lost time with a front wing change. Mark SP retires from the session. He's obviously crashed somewhere in Sector 1, Sector 2. We'll jump aboard with the Red Bull. We're already in green flags, so it might be somewhere around here, or turn maybe down by the hairpin. Not too sure. Haven't found a wildly damaged Ferrari just yet. Oh, no, there it is. Just saw it there. We jump back on Louis. Looks like he's clipped the inside wall coming into Casino Square, and the car's being spat out on the left-hand side. The car's now disappeared. And that's another retirement then. Mark SP drops out of P12, leaving just 11 of the 16 runners that started. One more retirement, and it'll be a case of survive, and you will pick up points. Not even a half distance here yet, but Blizzard leads 7.9 seconds ahead of Onyx, and Louis holding on to P3. So lap 15 of 39. Onyx continues to catch Blizzard by well over a second and a half a lap. Blizzard might have damage, possibly. I don't know, because the early pace that he had has now gone away. I know, granted, Blizzard's being on laps. Yeah, he has still got damage. Yeah, front right. He's clouted the wall somewhere, and he's got a pretty heavily damaged front wing there on the right-hand side. So that'll be a reason why Onyx is catching him pretty much hand over fist. I did wonder, because Blizzard was setting some frighteningly quick lap times early on in this race in the medium tyres. And I know his tyres have done the 14 laps compared to the 4 of Onyx's, but yeah, you can see their front right heavily damaged. That will explain why Onyx is catching then. And Blizzard there bounces across the curbs at the swimming pool section and picks up a 3-second time penalty. Same for Samster further around another part of the circuit. And Blizzard then has decided to carry these medium tyres and the damaged front wing to the window to enable him to go onto the soft tyres, rather than ducking in now, fixing the wing and going onto the hard. So I think Blizzard's going to be up with him in just a couple of laps. Meanwhile, further back here, Louis is losing time because he's busy holding on to his P3 ahead of both Super Guy and Midnight, and that is slowly but surely bringing Paris back into it as well. He's around about 6 seconds back. Now it's just over 4. Nikitu hanging on in 7th place as well. But as I get back to Samster, who finds himself all on his own in P8. There was no grid walk tonight, unfortunately. For whatever reason, the Prestige Tier drivers don't seem overly keen on doing the grid walks. I sometimes have to beg, steal and borrow just to get 1 or 2 people in. So I said to Samstar, who's obviously sort of the head honcho of the Prestige Tier, I said tonight we won't be doing one. I'll let the drivers just be on their own, not bother them, get them all concentrated for Monaco. And I said to him, strategy for you, my friend, is either just stay out of trouble, basically. Just if you're not confident around a circuit like Monaco, just stay towards the back, try to keep it clean as you can, minimise the damage, minimise the amount of time you spend making pit stops, and I'm sure you'll pick up somewhat of a points position towards the end of this race. Exactly what Sam's doing at the moment, running around all by himself in P8. Marquez then has made his first pit stop out in P9, just holding on to that ahead of Eli Yogurt. Matt a long way back in the second runner. He's been in the pits, I think, possibly at least 2 times now. Blizzard has lost the lead of this race then, so I think Blizzard's made another mistake, because Onyx has somehow caught by the best part of 4 or 5 seconds in the last lap, and Blizzard really struggling now on these medium tyres with that damaged front wing, getting very sideways as well coming through Casino Square. Now down into the lows, hairpin, taking as much of a curve as you can, but it hasn't worked. Blizzard picks up another 3-second time penalty. For those of you maybe wondering if I'm keeping check of the time penalties, I'm not. If you guys are, if you're making mental notes, then fair enough. At least you know where you stand, but I don't. I don't like to check. I like the surprise at the end, but I can tell you now, Blizzard has quite a few penalties already. He certainly has at least 6 that he's picked up in the last couple of laps, and that damaged front wing is going to make him very understeery in the faster corners around here at the back. You see, he had to check himself going through there, and he'd understeer coming through as well. Don't be surprised if there's another extension here. Almost was. He's clipping the wall again. Blizzard really is not comfortable. If I was you, my friend, I'd be in the pits now for a set of hard tyres, because I think it's with each passing lap, with each passing sector and corner, it's looking more and more likely that this Red Bull is going to end up in the wall. And he's not comfortable at the moment with that damaged front wing. And Louis is now going to start catching as well. Super Guy and Midnight still very, very close together. Marquez is down in 9th. He picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. So we've got Likitu close to the back of Paris. Yogurt still very close to the back of Marquez's. But the main battle at the moment really is this for P3, 4 and 5. Although it will be 2, 3 and 4 once Blizzard does pit at some point. So have a look at the pit stops then, see who's done what. So yeah, Blizzard then, the only driver yet to make a pit stop. He's trying to carry that damaged front wing to somewhere around about lap 24-ish, 25, 26. Put on a set of soft tyres, fixed that front wing. Further down, the LR Yogurt in 10th, Matt F&G in 11th have been in the pits twice. So jump on board of the Ferrari driver. Is he close enough to try anything into the chicane? He's not this time by. Unless Louis makes a mistake, clips the wall. Now naturally, of course, Louis will be struggling a little bit being on the hard tyres. He's got medium runners all around him, but I'd have been expecting a little bit more from the McLaren driver tonight. Yes, it's Monaco. Yes, he's on the pad, but yes, we know that he's a bit of an alien. And I would have expected Louis to be sort of bridging a little bit of a gap over these two. But he isn't managing to do so, and he's not exactly catching Blizzard at a fast rate of knots, unlike Onyx, because obviously he's busy defending. Here comes Super Guy with the DRS. We just drives in the middle of a circuit into Saint Devote. The best way to defend the inside really is to just drive in a straight line towards the corner. That's exactly what he's done. And Super Guy can find no way through. He might have another opportunity on the exit Casino Square, down the hill towards Massenet 1. Moving over to the middle of a circuit, then back onto the racing line to keep away from that nasty bump. And Louis does run deep. Now into the Grand Hotel hairpin, Lowe's hairpin, however you want to call it. Almost bumping the McLaren around. Now into Massenet 2 and then Portier as well into the entrance for the tunnel. This is the best opportunity that Super Guy will have to try and overtake. He's a little bit closer this time, but it's not going to be close enough to try anything into the Nouveau chicane unless he absolutely sends it, but it won't work. And Louis there just bouncing across the curbs. Midnight keeping a watchful eye as well. In P5, just following each other around lap after lap at the moment. Eventually one of these two will probably make, one of these three I should say, will probably make a mistake as Louis bounces over the curbs at the swimming pool section. Picks up a 3-second time penalty. They are catching Blizzard well over a second a lap. Paris as well slowly creeping in on that. It's around about 3 or 4 tenths a lap. He's bringing Likitu along with him as well. And further back, Samsat on his own in 8th. Marquez is in 9th, has got Yogurt behind him. And Likitu there cuts the turn 1 again. Picks up a 3-second time penalty. So penalties might change the order towards the end of this race. Just have to wait and see how this goes. We're into the second half of this race now. Lap 20 of 39. 16 started. We're down to 11. We haven't had a retirement for the last 3 or 4 laps. So hopefully everyone's calmed down now. We can actually get a little bit of racing, consistent racing going on out there. No safety car or virtual safety car yet, despite the fact there's been a crash and a bit of front wing debris at every corner so far. So yet again then, through the tunnel, down to a Nouveau chicane. Super Guy not close enough. And he's hoping and praying that Louis makes a mistake at some point. Super Guy is desperate to get past, desperate to get on to the podium as well. But remember, Blizzard in P2 is out of sync to everyone else. He's the only driver yet to make his first pit stop. And the way it's going at the moment, he will drop down to, I think, P7 after he's had the front wing change. So Blizzard then is going to struggle to get onto the podium tonight unless there's a couple of people who put it in the wall between now and the end of the race. But these guys pretty much following everyone else around at the moment. Samstat picks up another 3-second time penalty in P8. It's almost like a bit of a lull in the race at the moment. A bit of debris there on the entrance to the casino square. Someone's clipped the wall somewhere. But it's a bit of a lull at the moment. We know what Onyx is doing. He's just consistently driving away at the front. Blizzard, we know, is just pounding around waiting for his pit stop window to open to go onto the soft tyres. And then we've got 3rd, 4th and 5th close together. 6th and 7th close together. 9th and 10th close together as well. So you might as well cycle through, see what everyone else is doing. This is Paris in P6. He's caught again. A couple of attempts this lap, like last time as well. To the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th between Louis, Super Guy and Midnight. And again, Lakitu sticking with him as well. So we may very well have a 5-car train in a few laps. You can just see the 3 guys up ahead there exiting the chicane going into Tabac. 14 seconds back, Samster in P8. Just keeping himself out of harm's way at the moment. But he's losing time to Marquez's. He's lost a couple of seconds in the last lap or so. So I don't know if Samster has hit the wall. He has. Front right damage on that front wing. So Marquez's will be catching that Renault now. Marquez's seems a bit quicker now. He's on the medium tyres. LR Yogurt still carrying on in the final points position. And Matt just pounding around all by himself. He's now a lap down by the looks of it to Blizzards. He's being lapped by Onyx and Blizzard. And Matt then just carrying around, hoping and praying for at least one more retirement to get himself inside the points. But Onyx is doing everything right here. It's just consistently pulling away here, building himself a nice, comfortable gap. And Blizzard then in P2 has got Matt behind him, and I think Matt will probably quite happy to sit there, to be honest with you. But you have to be careful because Louis, Super Guy and Midnight are closing in with each passing lap. And the gap between Paris and Midnight now down to just over 3 seconds, as you can see. So they are slowly catching up as well. Back on board with the Ferrari driver, not close enough to try anything into the chicane again. And now Louis can see Blizzard ahead. And LR Yogurt picks up a 5-second penalty there for corner cutting. And all of a sudden he's a long, long way back. So has he made a pit stop? I'm not too sure. He has. LR Yogurt's being in the pits again. And he's clipping the wall. And this race is slowly falling apart for the Mercedes driver. So he's back in the pits and gone onto a set of hard tyres because he's completed 3 laps already. So LR Yogurt then 3 pit stops. And it's only lap 23 of 39. So Blizzard in P2 has got the lapped Matt FNG behind him. We'll jump on board with Louis now. You can see there that he's now catching right up. Matt will jump out the way. He's got the blue flags now. So Matt will probably do that, I think, on the exit of Portier going into the tunnel. There's no real room anywhere else really to just jump out the way. Such is the nature of this circuit. And here we go then, moving over to the right hand side, and the exit of Portier, he'll allow Louis and Super Guy through. Where's Midnight? And Midnight's dropped back a little bit, so as he clipped the wall, he has. He's got damage on the front right as well. As LR Yogurt retires from the race, I can only assume he's crashed somewhere in Sector 3. Best way to find out is to jump on board with Matt, just to see if there is a badly damaged Mercedes somewhere. Can't see it as Midnight picks up a 3-second time penalty. Is there a damaged Mercedes somewhere around the circuit? Can't see it. Midnight in the pits end to fix the damage on that front wing. Oh, and we've got more yellow flags up here as well. So I can only assume as he lost it going into turn 1. Not too sure. Matt going slowly, just allowing Paris and Lakitu through. So we're down to 10 then. And Matt now into P10. So he'll be happy in the knowledge that at least if he finishes, he'll gain a point. So with Blizzard now making a pit stop, he's rejoined in P4, and look at that, he's no, Blizzard hasn't made a pit stop. Sorry, no, I thought Blizzard had been in the pits because he lost positions, but he hasn't. I was going to say, if he's made a pit stop and come out just behind these two, how has he managed that? But no, Blizzard hasn't made his pit stop. He's just lost P2 and P3. So it's all kicked off there in the last minute or so with a retirement and position changes and pit stops as well. So the true order for the top 3 is, as you see it, Onyx leading, Louis second, Super Guy in third. Blizzard still yet to make his first pit stop. So Paris and Lakitu are looking at P4 and P5. Samster might be able to sneak up into P6. And then we've got VSR Marquez's, who's now catching that Renault, and Midnight, who's been back in the pits to fix that front wing. So he's lost out in that battle for the podium. And then Matt a long, long way back in P10. So we'll come off board, see who has damage at least. Blizzard now in the pits. So Louis through into P2. His front wing looks okay. Same for Super Guy now. So P1, P2 and 3 look okay at the moment. Paris now up into P4. 2.5 seconds back from this battle for P2. And he's brought Lakitu along with it as well. Where's Blizzard in all this? Where's Samstar, I should say? He's got Marquez's behind him as well. Blizzard still trundling down the pit lane. He's had the front wing fixed. He's on the soft tyres. He's lost that to San. Marquez's Midnight as well. And Blizzard then rejoins all the way down in P9. There's a few people in the chat there just reading it now, saying that difference between pads and wheel. Most circuits it seems fairly similar, I think, but there are obviously some circuits out there where pad is regarded as being OP and wheels being OP. For example, I think Austria is seen as a track that's good for pad, whilst Monaco and Singapore is a track that's usually good for the wheel for whatever reason. I'm not a racer, I'm a commentator. But certainly this is a wheel track. But Louis is doing everything right with his pad hacks at the moment. Holding on to P2, just ahead of Super Guy in P3. Paris is slowly catching. Marquez's and Samster are fighting very aggressively as well around the Nouvelle chicane. So we do have a little feisty little scrap here for P6, 7 and 8. We know Samster's got a damaged front wing, so Marquez's will be happy to force his way through. Midnight will be wanting to do the same as well, because he knows that Blizzard is behind him with a new front wing and a fresh set of soft tyres as well. So Samster might be wise here to just allow these two through so he doesn't end up tripping over and making a mistake. Here we go then with the DRS for both drivers down into turn 1. Samster gives a squeeze on the outside. Midnight will have to duck out of it, and here comes Blizzard then. He's going to try and get the run up the hill past the racing point into P8, and that's one move done, and he should be able to find his way past Samster relatively easy as well. He's on the fresh set of soft tyres. Samster's on a used set of hard tyres with a damaged front wing. Up the inside into Massenet 1. Samster will have to give this up. There's no way he'll be able to fight back through there. And Blizzard up into P7. His next target is his own teammate. I don't think Marquez will make it too difficult for him. But I don't think Blizzard will be able to improve his position from P6 unless someone retires further up ahead. Super I picks up a 3-second time penalty as LR Yogurt leaves the session after retiring a couple of laps ago. Here comes Midnight then to compound the misery for the Renault driver in Samster, who has to take avoiding action and therefore cuts the chicane yet again. And like I said, it might be wise from Samster to just back off the throttle and allow Midnight through, because he's going to make the situation for himself worse rather than better by battling. He's got a damaged front wing, he's off the pace, and he runs deep into Lavascas. Midnight says thank you very much. I'll do the old switch back into Anthony Nogues, take down that P8. So the Renault driver is carrying on 9th and 10th, so at least they do pick up a couple of points. But that 27 of 39, Onyx still leads 25.5 seconds ahead of Louis, who's got Super Guy close behind him. Paris, the gap's now sort of stabilising between 3rd and 4th, around about the 3-second mark. Lakitu's still very close behind as well, so it's been a strong run from Lakitu here. He made a pit stop in the early laps of this race for a set of hard tyres after picking up accident damage, but he did start on the back row of the grid, 15th or 16th, one of the two, and he's kept out of trouble after the first couple of laps, put on the hard tyres, and he's slowly risen up through the field. Whether he'll be able to get these hard tyres to the end or not remains to be seen. But if he does make a pit stop, he might have an opportunity to get ahead of Blizzard and Marquez's, who are battling aggressively into the Nouvelle chicane. And Blizzard again, I'm not sure how many actual on-track overtakes Blizzard has done this race, but I'm pretty sure it's close to 10. He's been up and down the order like a yo-yo. But I think he's going to find the going tough to increase his position from here. He's nearly 20 seconds behind Lakitu. And Midnight as well, he's giving Marquez's the hurry up here. Midnight was looking good for battling for a podium. He would have been in P4 as things stand, but he's hit the wall a few laps ago, had to make a pit stop, which is why he's down in 8th. But he's managed to get past Samster, who has decided to get off of those hard tyres, go on to the softs, new front wing. He's safely in knowledge that he was the best part of a minute ahead of his own teammate. So he'll rejoin comfortably in P9, probably a lap down. So Marquez's then will be battling now to hold on to this P7, allow his teammate ahead to disappear. He's already taking chunks out of Lakitu. But with 10 laps to go, he's got to find the best part of 2 seconds a lap if he wants any opportunity to get inside the top 5. So Onyx then, 26.3 seconds now ahead of Louis, who's been busy for the last dozen or so laps, holding on to his P2 ahead of Super Guy. There hasn't really at any point posed a big threat. He's been close a few times with the DRS and coming through the tunnel as well, but Louis hasn't had to defend the position too much, and I think these two are quite comfortable just circulating around in P2 and P3. Of course, one little mistake could put them in the wall, could change their race completely. So this little battle certainly is not over. And Paris is now lapping similar lap times to the top to P2 and P3 as well. So second and third close together, fourth and fifth close together. Blizzard is on a mad charge. And Marquez's and Midnight incredibly close together for 7th and 8th, side by side running up the hill. And the Racing Point's going to have to do this around the hard way into Casino Square, inside for turn 5. But an almost brilliant move is ruined because he's clipped the inside wall. And that was almost probably the move of the race, around the outside into turn 3. Had the inside for Casino Square, but then blew it all and threw it all away by taking a tighter line and clipping the inside barrier, and he's damaged, I think, the front wing on both sides because of it. So an almost perfect, brilliant move around the outside at Monaco. It's completely undone, and Midnight then has damaged that front wing, I think, a bit too much to pose any real threat to Marquez's. So Midnight might be in the pits just to protect that P8, which will leave Marquez's all on his own in P7, same for his teammate in P6, who's still charging hard and will probably set the fastest lap in the next lap or so. 16 drivers started, 10 still running, less than 10 laps to go now. Onyx still holds on to this lead. Good battle for second and a good battle for P4. Just watching Lakitu here as he continues to give chase to Paris. He's closed the gap a little bit to Super Guy as well, who's dropped off. So I can only assume that Super Guy's made a mistake somewhere, possibly damaged that front wing, because he's being less than a second behind Louis for most of the second half of this race. That's Midnight and Samster. Midnight did pit and went for a set of soft tyres, rejoined just behind Samster, but has managed to pull the move off through the tunnel, I think. As Samster picks up another 3-second time penalty. He really likes cutting that Nouvelle chicane. And Marquez is coming into the pits as well. He knows that he's safe in P7, so he's coming for a fresh set of soft tyres. So some of these drivers now pitting then to try and get the fastest lap. It's currently being held by still LTU Tom, who managed a 10.5. Okay, LTU Tom in the early part of this race then, with a very heavy fuel load, managed a 10.5. Okay. Not entirely sure how he's managed to pull that off. But anyway, LTU Tom has the fastest lap, but he's retired, so no championship point as it stands. Of course, we do have sort of a 2-tier system with One Hub Racing, where if you set the fastest lap inside the top 10, you get an extra championship point. If you set the fastest lap from the driver still classified and still circulating from 11th down, you also get a fastest lap for that as well. So sometimes in most races, not tonight obviously, we've still got 10 runners, but if there was, let's say, next race there's 14 drivers left, you're down in 13th, there is still an opportunity for a world championship point if you pit and put on the set of soft tyres, go for a fastest lap. But it won't happen tonight. We've only got 10 left, so we can forget about that little extra little bonus championship point that One Hub has in all 4 of their tiers. It'll be interesting to see if anyone here can set the fastest lap. Now we're on the fresh set of soft tyres. Marquez's and Midnight. Samster won't be able to do it, neither will Blizzard. And Midnight picks up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits one too many times again around the chicane. And he's in the pits again. He's damaged the front wing, and Midnight is back in the pits yet again. Samster is in as well, and all of a sudden Matt has got a possible opportunity here, if it keeps going like this, to pick up an extra couple of championship points. I did see a penalty there, I think, for Super Guy, possibly 3-second time penalty. So left 33 of 39. The mistakes are still creeping in here. The exceeding track limits are still creeping in as well, so the orders might change towards the end of this race. It might do with second, third, fourth and fifth. Paris is in the pits as well, so Paris is giving up P4. And I can only assume this is for a front wing change. He's obviously hit the wall somewhere. So that's promoted Lakitu into 4th. Is he having a front wing change? He is indeed. So more mistake. Blizzard back in the pits as well as he hit the wall. What's going on with these guys? We're seeing pretty much it. No, Blizzard's coming in, safe in the knowledge that he'll hold on to the P6 here. And he's going for another set of soft tyres. So these drivers really going for the fastest lap here. I mean, to be honest, if Blizzard had carried on, he would have jumped Paris for P5. So these guys, yeah, okay. The last 10 laps of this race have been a bit crazy. So Matt then, all of a sudden, is getting close to actually not being in 10th anymore, despite the fact that about 10 laps ago he was the best part of a minute behind his own teammate. He's now only 13 seconds. Samster has been disqualified. Samster has been disqualified, receiving too many ETL penalties yet again. Samster has cut the Nouvelle chicane, and he has been disqualified from the race. And F's in the chat, please, because to get disqualified, you really have to be pushing the limits quite a lot. And Matt indeed is up into P9. So Sam Stevenu, I said before the race, just keep it clean towards the back of the field if you want to get to the end. He didn't keep it clean. He was at the back of the field, and he's managed to get himself disqualified on lap 34. It wasn't even like, the last couple of laps here. He still had, 5 or 6 laps left to go, and Onyx spins at the Nouvelle chicane. He's obviously clipped the wall on the inside there. Don't know if he's got any damage on that front wing. I think he's just about managed to get away with it, but that'll be a wake-up call for the Williams driver. Concentration obviously going away a little bit. Bored out in front with a 30-second lead. And Onyx became so close there to possibly ending his race. That would have woken him up, got himself refocused and reorganised. You've got to concentrate, my friends. You've only got a handful of laps left to go. So Onyx leads, comfortable leads, but we saw him almost throw it away. Louis in 2nd, Super Guy in 3rd, Lakitu now in P4, and if a couple of the drivers ahead of him have quite a few penalties, Lakitu may very well find himself in the top 3, which would be a fantastic result considering he started at the back of the grid. Paris then has recently been in the pits for a new set of tyres and a front wing. He's in P5, 6.5 seconds ahead of Blizzard, who's recently been in the pits for a new set of tyres. Marquez is as well, 10 seconds back, and then Midnight and Matt FNG. So there's one battle on circuit, pretty much this one here. And Lakitu then picks up a 3-second time penalty. Samster comes in the chat to say, I am the GOAT. Your question marks will remain over that. Congratulations on the disqualification. You're now classified in 16th. So that 35 of 39. Paris does now set a new fastest lap, a 10.367. So the extra championship point will be going to the Williams driver as it stands. Immediately eclipsed for 109.953 by the Red Bull of Blizzard in P6. He now has the new fastest lap and therefore an extra championship point. We'll jump on board with the Ferrari yet again, staring at the rear wing of that McLaren of Louis, as they continue their ever close battle for P2, P3, and Lakitu now there P4 has carried these hard tyres since I think lap 2 or 3, and he's done a very good job keeping it out of the wall, keeping it clean away from the barriers, not clean in terms of ETLs. I could check now to see how many penalties people have, but being so close to the end of the race, we'll leave it as it is. Further back, we've got Paris in P5. He's all on his own, as is Blizzard in 6th. Marquez is 7th. Midnight in 8th. Matt in P9. Onyx then has lost a couple of seconds after that spin at the Nouvelle chicane a couple of laps ago. He's carrying on his merry way to a commanding and confidence boosting race win. It's not easy to win around the streets of Monaco. Yes, drivers can make mistakes around you and fall off the road and hit the wall and retire, and we've lost almost half of the entrants tonight, but you have to keep it clean yourself. You have to keep it consistent yourself, keep it out the barriers yourself. And that one little blip of momentary lack of concentration a couple of laps ago has been the only blotch against Onyx so far. 28.9 second lead as he comes into lap 37 of 39. And we come back now to the battle for P2, 3 and 4. Nice overhead shot here as the drivers filter down to Tabac, and now through the swimming pool section again. Almost there, guys, almost done. Just a couple of laps left to go for you all now. It really is a great shot. Just looking at Monaco here as Super Guy gets very close to the back of the McLaren. And if it wasn't for the little bit of oversteer coming out of Anthony Noakes, he might have had an opportunity to get past into turn 1. But yet again, Super Guy can do nothing about even attempting an overtake on Louis. He hasn't really had half a chance to do so. Louis hasn't had to defend too aggressively at any point. And he's running out of time now, the Ferrari driver, if he wants to get up into P2. Penalties might change it, of course. As it stands, we've got Louis in P2, Super Guy in third, Lakitu in P4, and a great drive, as I said once again, from Lakitu to be that high up after starting at the back of the field. He's been benefited by some of the drivers, most of the drivers, half the drivers at least, retiring from this race, but he's managed to keep it relatively clean himself, find himself possibly challenging for a podium spot. Jump aboard of the Alfa Romeo driver. Super Guy just has a little look down into the Nouvelle chicane, but again, he's not close enough to try anything. Almost coming into 2 laps to go now. A couple of minutes and this race will be almost over. Mark SB, who retired a few laps ago, now leaves the session. These guys bump and crash their way over the sausage curbs at the swimming pool section. Now into La Rascasse yet again, and into the final corner, Anthony Nogues. Good exit from all 3 drivers. So unless something happens in the last couple of laps, this is the order that will remain. It's been an entertaining race. It's been difficult to keep track of everyone at some points. A few laps ago we had most of the field in the pits, to be honest. As Marquez picks up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits at the chicane as well. Don't be surprised if we have another driver disqualified at some point in this race. And Midnight a long way back in 8th. He was threatening a podium early on. And Matt FNG unfortunately hasn't been at the races at all tonight. And it's been a very boring race, I think. Certainly since about lap 14 or 15 for Matt. He's been a long way back. He's made multiple pit stops, but he's just circulated round. Safe in the knowledge if he finishes, he will pick up points as Onyx N into turn 1 for the final time. Super Guy's made a mistake somewhere because he's now a second behind Louis. Might give Lakitu a bit of an opportunity for the final podium spot. And again, of course, penalties might change it. Oh, hello, what was all that about? That was a bit of late braking there from Lakitu. He just nerfs the back of Super Guy, pushing him around La Rascasse. So I'm not too sure if Lakitu left his braking late or if Super Guy broke early. But it might have damaged the front wing. Indeed it has. So Lakitu's got damage on that front right, and then he'll be cursing himself inside the helmet because that might have killed any opportunity he had of trying to get past the Ferrari on what is now their final lap. And Paris is catching very quickly, but he's too far back to try anything. So Onyx M now through the swimming pool section for the 39th and final time. He'll be glad this race is over. He almost lost the concentration a few laps ago with a lazy spin at the Nouvelle chicane, but other than that, it has been an almost faultless drive from the Williams driver. Pole position, the race win, commanding as well. The 25 points go to the Williams driver. Congratulations to him. And you've got to come all the way back to the Nouvelle chicane for Louis in P2. Super Guy a long way back now. He might have damage. Oh, just line up the rear tyres as well. And Lakitu might sniff something going into the final couple of corners here to try and get up into the top 3 positions. Midnight a lap down, finishes in P8. And is Lakitu going to try something into Rascasse? He's having a look, but Super Guy does just enough to defend the inside. And Louis will cross the line in P2. Will he keep it after penalty? Super Guy P3, Lakitu P4. Do they stay as they do? They do indeed. And we've got Paris now coming across the line. He caught quite quickly towards the end as well. And because of it, he's been promoted all the way up into P3. So Paris then joins his teammate on the podium. Blizzard drifts and weaves the car across the line into P6. And we just wait for Marquez's and Matt FNG to finally finish as well. Matt was a lap down a long way back behind Midnight. And Marquez's was again, he's had a very up and down race, decides to spin into the pit lane as well. So that's one way to finish the race. And Matt FNG crosses the line with an additional 5-second penalty for obviously a stop go that he did not need to serve. There we go then, that is the end of the race. Congratulations to Onyx with a very commanding race win. Louis holds on to P2, and by dint of having less penalties, Paris joins his teammate on the podium with P3. So congratulations there to the top 3. Onyx will be absolutely delighted to pick up the 25 points with the race win. The championship contender did everything right tonight, and congratulations to him on a very difficult Monaco Grand Prix. Second place then for Louis. I think he'll be overly happy with that. He wasn't on the pace of Onyx today. He started second, finished second. He was the best of the rest. And Paris then in P3 had a very up and down race as well. Pitted towards the end for a set of soft tyres to try and go quick, and it's worked for him because by dint of having less penalties, he's taken the final step on the podium. There we go then, there is the final classification. Only 3 seconds penalties to Onyx and Louis. Paris had no penalties at all, so congratulations to him to keep it clean, and because of it he's just managed to creep up into third place. Super Guy had 6 seconds, Lakitu had 9 seconds, so started in 16th, was looking like possibly getting up into P3, but unfortunately he's been pushed down to P5. Blizzard in 6th, Marquez is in 7th, up and down race for both the Red Bull drivers. Midnight in P8, and Matt was our final classified finisher in P9. We lost Yogurt, Mark SP, LTU Tom, Bretster, Lewis, Matt Tibos and Samster, who was disqualified from the race. That therefore brings the race and the stream to the end. My 2 votes for drive of the day, well, the first one's definitely got to be to VSR Onyx for an absolutely dominating and commanding drive. I was tempted to give it to either Super Guy or Lakitu, and in fact I'll give it to Lakitu. He started in 16th after being unable to take part in qualifying, had a bit of damage at the start of the race, put on a set of hard tyres which he managed to get all the way to the end of the race. And if it wasn't for penalties, he may very well have been on the podium. But still a very, very good drive, starting from 16th all the way into P3 after penalties. So my 2 drivers of the day then, VSR Onyx on the race win, and Lakitu for starting at the back and finishing in the top 5. A very, very typical Monaco League race that we almost lost half of the drivers that started this race. But hopefully things will improve in the next few events. My name has been Alex Lilliart. Thank you to each and every single one of you that has joined in at some point tonight. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.